Every gardener, whether you are just starting out with your very first patch or have been tending the same plot for years, faces two persistent challenges. The first, of course, is the relentless march of weeds. They seem to appear from nowhere, popping up just where you don't want them, competing with your precious plants for water, light, and nutrients. You can spend hours on your hands and knees, pulling and digging, only to find them returning with a vengeance a week later. It can feel like a battle that is simply impossible to win, a constant source of frustration in what should be a peaceful and rewarding pastime. The second challenge, which is perhaps less obvious but just as crucial, is the health of your soil. Over time, soil can become compacted and hard, especially if it is left bare and exposed to the elements. The sun bakes it, the wind blows the top layer away, and heavy rain can wash away its goodness, leaving a dense, lifeless surface. When soil is in this state, it is terribly difficult for plant roots to penetrate and find the air and moisture they need to thrive. You might notice that your plants seem to struggle, their growth is stunted, and they just don't have the vigor you had hoped for. These two problems, weeds and poor soil, are inextricably linked. Happily, there is a wonderfully simple and organic solution to both of these issues. It is a technique that I use all the time in my own garden at Longmeadow, and it works wonders. The principle is straightforward. We need to cover the ground. By shutting down the soil surface, we can stop weeds in their tracks, and, at the same time, create the perfect conditions for life to return to the soil beneath. This process, often called sheet mulching or a soil shutdown, doesn't require expensive chemicals or back-breaking labor. Instead, it uses materials you might otherwise throw away. This method is all about working with nature, not against it. When you cover the soil, you are mimicking what happens in a forest, where a constant blanket of fallen leaves protects the ground. This protective layer suppresses unwanted growth and slowly breaks down, feeding the soil and all the tiny organisms that live within it. In our gardens, we can achieve the same effect using common household items like newspaper and cardboard. It is an incredibly effective, environmentally friendly, and best of all, very easy way to transform your garden for the better, turning problem areas into productive, healthy beds. So how does simply covering the soil achieve so much? The first and most immediate benefit is weed suppression. Most weeds, like any other plant, need light to germinate and grow. When you lay down a thick, light-blocking barrier over the soil, you are effectively plunging them into darkness. Annual weeds, which grow from seed each year, will be unable to sprout. More persistent perennial weeds, which have deep root systems, will try to push through, but the lack of light will exhaust their energy reserves, and they will eventually wither and die, adding their organic matter back into the soil. But this is about so much more than just killing weeds. The real magic is what happens beneath that cover, within the soil itself. A covered soil is a happy soil. The barrier acts like a blanket, protecting the ground from the extremes of temperature. It keeps it cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter, creating a stable environment. It also dramatically reduces water evaporation from the surface, meaning your soil stays moist for much longer after a good rain or watering. This is a huge advantage, as it means you'll need to water far less often, saving you time and conserving a precious resource. This protected, moist, and dark environment is an open invitation to the gardener's greatest ally, the earthworm. Earthworms are the unsung heroes of the garden. They will be drawn up from the depths to the surface, feasting on the decaying newspaper or cardboard. As they move through the ground, they create a network of tunnels, which aerates the soil beautifully. This allows air and water to penetrate deep into the ground, breaking up compaction without you ever having to lift a fork. Their castings, or droppings, are also one of the finest natural fertilizers you can get, enriching your soil with vital nutrients. Over months, the barrier you laid down will slowly decompose, becoming part of the soil itself. This process adds valuable organic matter, which is the cornerstone of soil fertility. Organic matter improves the soil's structure, making it light and crumbly. It helps sandy soils to hold on to water and nutrients, and it helps heavy clay soils to drain more effectively. By simply covering the ground, you are kickstarting a natural cycle of renewal. You are not just stopping weeds, you are actively building a rich, dark, and wonderfully fertile soil that will be the perfect foundation for a thriving garden. Using newspaper is a fantastic way to begin your soil building journey. It's something most of us have readily available, and it's remarkably effective for smothering weeds in existing beds or creating new planting areas. The key is to use enough of it. A single sheet or two will do very little. You need to create a substantial layer to properly block out the light. I recommend using a layer that is at least 10 sheets thick. Don't worry about using the colored pages. Modern newspaper inks are soy-based and perfectly safe for the garden soil. Just be sure to avoid any glossy, shiny inserts or magazine-style pages, as they won't break down properly. Once you have your patch of ground ready, the process is simple. Lay your sections of newspaper down, making sure to generously overlap the edges by several inches. This overlap is critical. If you leave any gaps, even small ones, the most determined weeds will find their way through, seeking out that sliver of light. You are creating a single, unbroken blanket over the soil. The best time to do this is on a calm, still day, as even a slight breeze can make laying newspaper a rather frustrating affair. It can be helpful to have a bucket of water handy as you work. As you lay each section of newspaper down, give it a good soaking with a watering can or a gentle spray from a hose. Wetting the paper serves two important purposes. Firstly, it sticks the layers together and holds them firmly to the ground, stopping them from blowing away before you can get them covered. Secondly, it starts the decomposition process straight away and ensures the soil underneath remains damp, which is exactly what you want to attract those beneficial earthworms. The paper should be thoroughly saturated, almost like papier-mâché, molding itself to the contours of the ground beneath. The final and most important step is to cover the wet newspaper with a thick layer of organic mulch. This top layer is what makes the whole system work. It hides the newspaper, making it look neat and tidy, but more importantly, it holds the moisture in and continues to block the light. A layer of about 4 to 6 inches of compost, well-rotted manure, leaf mold, or even wood chips is ideal. You can then plant directly into this top layer. Simply part the mulch, cut a cross shape through the newspaper, and pop your new plant into the soil below. It's a truly brilliant no-dig method. For tougher situations, such as converting a patch of weedy lawn into a new vegetable bed, cardboard is your best friend. It's thicker, more durable, and provides a more robust light-blocking barrier than newspaper. It's particularly good at suppressing vigorous perennial weeds like couchgrass or dandelions. When sourcing your cardboard, look for plain brown boxes. Be sure to remove all the plastic tape, staples, and any glossy labels, as these will not break down in the soil. Large, single sheets from bicycle or appliance boxes are perfect, as they allow you to cover a large area with fewer joins. Laying the cardboard is much like laying newspaper, but the overlaps are even more important. Because the material is so rigid, any gap can become a major weak point. I would advise overlapping the edges of your cardboard sheets by at least 6 to 8 inches. Make sure there are absolutely no gaps where light can peek through. If you have smaller pieces, just layer them up generously. Once your cardboard is in place, you must give it a very thorough soaking. Cardboard is designed to resist moisture to some extent, so it will take a good drenching with the hose to get it fully saturated. This helps it to soften and make good contact with the soil. Once the cardboard is soaked, you have a choice. If you are preparing a bed for the future, say over winter, you can simply cover it with a thick layer of mulch, like compost or wood chips, and leave it. By the time spring arrives, the grass and weeds underneath will have been completely killed off, and the worms will have started their work of improving the soil. The cardboard will have softened considerably, and the whole area will be ready for planting. This is a wonderfully low-effort way to expand your growing space and let nature do the hard work for you. If you want to plant into your new cardboard bed straight away, that is perfectly possible too. After soaking the cardboard, cover it with a very deep layer of good quality compost or topsoil, at least 6 inches deep. This gives your new plants a lovely, rich medium to get their roots established in. You can then sow seeds or plant young plants directly into this top layer. Their roots will grow down through the compost, and as the cardboard softens and decomposes over the following months, they will push through it and into the wonderfully improved soil below. It's a truly revolutionary way to create an instant garden bed. Sometimes, the most effective solutions come from combining good ideas. For a truly bulletproof method of soil shutdown, particularly on ground that is riddled with difficult weeds, I like to use a combination of both cardboard and newspaper. This gives you the tough, durable base of cardboard with the gap-filling flexibility of newspaper. It's the best of both worlds and creates a formidable barrier that very few weeds can penetrate. It is a simple shortcut that ensures success and gives you complete peace of mind when creating a new no-dig bed from scratch. The method is incredibly straightforward. First, Lay down your single layer of cardboard directly onto the weedy ground, remembering to overlap the edges well. Give it a preliminary soaking with water to help it settle. Then, on top of the cardboard, lay your thick 10-sheet layer of newspaper, again making sure to overlap all the edges and wetting it thoroughly as you go. The wet newspaper will mold itself over the cardboard, sealing any potential gaps at the seams perfectly. This double barrier of wet paper on top of wet cardboard is almost impenetrable to light, ensuring a total shutdown for the weeds below. Once your combined barrier is in place and completely saturated, you finish it in the usual way. Cover the entire area with a generous, deep layer of your chosen mulch. Homemade compost is always my first choice, but well-rotted manure or leaf mold will also do a fantastic job. A layer of 4 to 6 inches is ideal. This top dressing weighs everything down, locks in moisture, and provides the rich, fertile medium for your plants to grow in. You can plant into it immediately, confident that you have created the best possible start for your new garden bed. It is so important to choose organic materials like cardboard and newspaper over synthetic alternatives like plastic sheeting or woven landscape fabric. While plastic does block weeds, it also suffocates the soil. It prevents water from getting through and creates a sterile, airless environment where soil life cannot survive. Woven fabrics often degrade over time, shedding microplastics into your soil, and determined weeds can eventually grow right through them, making them terribly difficult to remove. Cardboard and newspaper, on the other hand, feed the soil as they break down. They invite life in, rather than shutting it out. By choosing these materials, you are not just controlling weeds, you are actively building a healthier, more resilient garden for the long term. So please, give it a try. Start with a small patch and see the wonderful results for yourself. Happy gardening!